What's going on, everyone? Austin John Place here, and today I'm going to be talking about the most effective way for you to grind experience in Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Throughout my 2 decades of playing this game, once you make your way toward the end, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to come about experience. Except for one particular enemy in the game called an Amazy Dayzee. I've looked at forum articles, I've looked at write-ups, I've looked at discussions, and no one has come up with the absolute best way for you to go about and farm these elusive creatures. And this almost seems like a job for someone who's good at hunting down creatures that have a very rare shiny variant. That's where I'm going to be coming into play. First, let's get to know our enemy. The Amazy Dayzee has 20 HP, an attack of 20, a defense of 1. It appears only in 2 places, the Pit of 100 Trials at the last 9 levels, and Twilight Trail. Specifically, there are 4 different enemy encounters that can have an Amazy Dayzee. Last night, I did 5 hours of testing to come up with the most effective way for you to go about getting yourself these Amazy Dayzee encounters. Before you go into these battles, it's important that you're able to do 20 damage via a jump attack with Mario consistently. If you're not able to do 20 damage, then you're not ready to grind these Amazy Dayzees. Danger Mario is one of the fastest and most effective ways for you to go about doing this. I'm also going to be using a Power Plus P badge just because we're going to be having Yoshi out, and Yoshi's Gulp attack is going to be able to knock out one of the Crazy Dayzees that escorts the Amazy Dayzee. And I'm personally going to be using a turbo controller that I can quickly turn Turbo A on and off because we are going to be fleeing from battle a lot. If you do not have a turbo controller, and if you're not great at mashing the A button to run away from battle, I have 2 recommendations. One is a knockout method that I'm going to be sprinkling in tidbits throughout this entire time, and the other is a spoon. If you have a larger controller, a pro controller, one of the powered A wired controllers, get a spoon, put 2 fingers in the spoon, and just rub it over the A button. You may damage the physical appearance on the outside of the controller, but the curvature of the spoon makes it so that you're able to go over the A button very, very quickly. Let's go ahead, hit the save block, hop into the warp pipe, and let's begin our route. This route is going to be taking about 2 minutes to check 5 different battles that we're going to be going in. As soon as we go in, let's hop on top of Yoshi, and then we're going to encounter our first Crazy Dayzee. Here we have just 2 Crazy Dayzees in the middle of battle. That's not what we want. Let's go ahead and run away. Hop off of Yoshi, go through the slit, hop onto Yoshi, and we're going to be going left to this Crazy Dayzee over here. We have 2 Crazy Dayzees, a flying Hyper Goomba and a spiky Hyper Goomba, and there is a Super Mushroom held by the first Crazy Dayzee. We're gonna run away from this battle and continue left to the next screen, where we have 1 Crazy Dayzee encounter over here. Here we have a Crazy Dayzee, a Hyper Clef, and another Crazy Dayzee, and the first one is holding an item. Since this is our 3rd battle that you're running away from, the meter is going to be very, very low, so you are going to have to hit A quite a lot. And making our way back in, we have 2 Crazy Dayzees and our first Amazy Dayzee shows up. As you just saw, unedited, I ran away from this battle, I walked to the left, I went into that battle, it wasn't what I wanted, I walked to the right, and here we are. I'm just going to do a hop on this guy, that's going to knock it out. Yoshi is going to be using Gulp, and because I have a power-up partner badge on, we're going to be doing 7 damage to the first, 6 to the second, and it has a very high likelihood of just fleeing battle immediately. The Amazy Dayzee gives a total of 70 experience points. However, based on your current level, it's going to be 70 minus your current level number, and then also minus 2. So because I'm level 29, if you add 2 to that, that's 31. 31 out of 70 is 39, and that's how much experience we're currently getting from these Crazy Dayzees. On our way back, let's go ahead and run into this Crazy Dayzee as well, because you never know, we might run into 2 in the same lap. I have run into 3 out of 3 in one go, so it's definitely possible. Never think it's not. Because we did knock out an enemy, we have to respawn the enemies, which requires us going 2 screens away. And this screen here with the warp block is 1 screen away. I'm gonna go ahead, enter tube mode, go underneath this tree. To save time, I'm not gonna leave tube mode. I'm just gonna go from tube mode into the next screen, back into this screen, we're gonna go ahead and save our game, because anytime you get 40 experience, you should definitely save your game. And let's head back into the woods. We successfully completed 1 lap, and we did find an Amazy Dayzee, so obviously it took a little over 2 minutes. And coming back in, our first encounter does have an Amazy Dayzee for us. Now, that is quite a chance of happening. By my testing and calculations, there's a 10% chance that these encounters are going to have a crazy Dayzee for you. Oh, and because we're level 30, we're now a superstar and our crowd is even bigger. Look at that. If we found the Amazy Dayzee at the 2nd or 3rd encounter, I would then continue all the way through and back out. But because it's the first, it's more time effective for you to go ahead, come back to the stump, tube mode under it, and then respawn that first Amazy Dayzee that can be there. Let's do a full run back here while going through some of the math on why this is the best. First battle has a crazy Dayzee, a hyper Goomba. Oh, we have flamethrowers now. That's neat. A spiky hyper Goomba and a flying hyper Goomba. Now, because there's only a 10% chance that we are going to be encountering an Amazy Dayzee, that doesn't mean that throughout these 5 encounters, you're even at 1-to-1 odds. I'm going to show you what to do if you don't come across one. By the way, this 3rd battle, the one that has the hyper clef, if you're not that fantastic at mashing the A button, it will take a little bit more time, but it's going to make your life easier. Instead, just do a Quake Hammer. The Quake Hammer is definitely enough to knock out both of these enemies. You're only going to be getting 1 experience. You're going to be getting about 10 coins if you have the money badge on. Because this is the 2nd screen away, you are always going to respawn those enemies. Here we have 2 crazy Dayzees, a fly and a spiky, and because we just completed the last battle, you're going to see that our flea meter is much higher than it just was. Let's go ahead and check the 5th encounter, and we didn't come across one. Okay, great. Out of my 4 times doing it today, this is the first time that we did not come across an Amazy Dayzee. If that happens to you, all you have to do is go out of the woods. You don't go into the warp pipe. As soon as you show up here, walk back in, because that's going to re-randomize the 5 encounters. And if you decided to knock out the 3rd encounter, the one with the hyper clef, he's going to be respawned. Here we have 2 crazy Dayzees, and as you saw, and that's a different encounter than it was before. Once again, go through our slit, hop on our Yoshi, talk to this guy, and by talk, I mean maybe murder. Crazy, flying, spiky. You are going to do this, and you're going to think to yourself, you know, I don't think these enemies changed, but I guarantee you they did. Also, this 3rd encounter, just because you're seeing it the least, it's going to feel like this one never has an Amazy Dayzee for you, but I have had the Amazy Dayzee here. You can have the Amazy Dayzee on your 3rd encounter, just because it's the least one that you see. It's the least likely to actually be experienced by you. 4 crazy Dayzees, one's holding an item. Let's run away. And our first battle, nope. Great. We have gone through 10 encounters and we did not come across an Amazy Dayzee. So we're pretty much now at 1-to-1 odds. I've had many times of it being just 1 round, a round being, you know, the 5 different encounters. I've had a lot of times that it was 2 rounds. I've had a couple of occasions that it took 3 rounds. Oh, here we go. Great, done. As I was saying, I had a few times that it was 3 rounds, but I also had one time that it required 4 rounds, and that's just RNG. That's just the chance of it happening. So don't feel discouraged if you're, you know, 4 rounds deep and you're like, this thing doesn't work anymore. It absolutely does. That's just your chances of it actually happening. Because the Crazy Dayzee was in that first encounter out of the 5, it's more time beneficial for you to go ahead, flee, and come back. And you might think to yourself, well, Austin, there's a 10% chance that the following 4 encounters could have one. And yes, you're absolutely right. But odds are it's not. And this time-wise is marginally faster. And our first battle in, we once again have an Amazy Dayzee. Now, granted, this was a 1 out of 10 chance, followed by a 1 out of 10 chance. Oh, and because I was talking, I messed up the timing of that. You could either flee battle or have Goombella do a Rally Wink or a multi-bonk, whatever you're more comfortable with. I'm gonna go for the Rally Wink. And I'm not even gonna risk it, I'm just gonna go for a regular jump on the last one. I also equipped the Feelin' Fine badge, so I'm not going to get hit by any status conditions if I manage to not guard properly like I did just here. Let's finish up this battle, and that's a GG. let's go over some of my findings here. I did a lot of different variations of this test on the specific routes to see if it'd be better for me to knock out all the enemies versus none of the enemies, if it'd be better for me to run all the way back through the woods to the creepy steeple or not, how long it takes for you to go between the two screens, if it was more beneficial to just go between the two different crazy daisies on either side of part 1 and part 2 of the woods, and this route by far has been the most effective. Out of the 13 Amazy Dayzees, it took me a total of 26 rounds. Each round is 5, so take 26, divide it by 2, multiply it by 10, now we're looking at 130, so 130 encounters by 13 tests. Yes, the Amazy Dayzee is going to be showing up 10% of the time. That was within 2% of every single test that I ran, so I know for a fact that these guys are 10%. I also did run the test with not doing that clef encounter, but it's better if you do the clef encounter. Also, while doing this, the hyper spiky Goombas and the hyper flying Goombas have a chance to hold the last stand badge, which if you're running Danger Mario, last stand is the thing that reduces the damage that Mario takes while he's in danger.
Hey, knock it off! There's a kid back there!
I'm in danger!
Out of 130 encounters, I came across it twice. I don't know what the game's code is on its probability of actually being seen. By the way, those were 2 times that I saw it during battle, and I used Miss Meows in order to steal that item. There are 2 times that I found a life shroom held by one of the enemies, so you may want to go ahead and steal those. Besides the 2 life shrooms and the 2 last stand badges, there was an additional 20 items held by enemies that were valued at 50 coins or less, so I didn't define what they were, which brings us to about an 18.5% chance that the enemy is going to be holding an item, so 1 in 5. Averaging out that you're going to be doing this once you're around level 30-ish or so, you're going to be getting about 40 experience while doing this. And for me to get these 13 Amazy Dayzees at 40 experience each, that's 5 levels. That 5 levels took me 59 minutes, let's round that to 60, and boom, we got a level every 12 minutes. I also ran the math for how many star points you get for every level between 30 and 50, and how many Amazy Dayzees are required for that, averaging at about 4 minutes per Amazy Dayzee. In order for you to go from level 30 to level 50, that's going to be 78 Amazy Dayzees, approximately 315 minutes, or about 5.25 hours for you to go from level 30 to level 50. That's not bad. 12 minutes for a level is going to be better than you're going to be experiencing in the Pit of 100 Trials, far safer than the Pit of 100 Trials. This is the best renewable experience that you are going to find in this entire game using this method that I just showed you. And I will stand by that, unless someone has something better. But you know what? Over the last 20 years, no one has, so I'm putting my foot down. Time for Austin John to do math, and here we are. I made a video on how to make Mario stronger with different types of badges, including a Danger Mario build. I've already done all of the star pieces, all of the recipes. Now is the best experience farming in the entire game. I love this game. This remake is fantastic, and there's not much more for me to go ahead and figure out. So if you found this helpful and you're enjoying Paper Mario, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button down below. For more content like this, hit the subscribe button, or even just check the subscribe button to make sure you're subscribed, because you might not be subscribed. Thank you guys for being here. Until next time, Austin John out.